an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Spoil Me, covering One Piece, episodes 481, 482, and 483. Ace rescued. Whitebeard's final order. The power that can burn even fire. Akainu's ruthless pursuit. And then, looking for answers, Fire Fist Ace dies on the battlefield. I'm real glad I didn't read the titles to these episodes. Wow. They just tell you. Welcome to Spoil Me. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
Hello, and I'm Florian.
Yay, Florian is here joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Shut up.
I even in the intro, I was like, oh, I have to be quiet. Like, I really thought, like, should I text her and be like, God, do not read the episode titles, but then I was like, that would be too suspicious, so I didn't text you. So,
you know, it wouldn't, like, I encourage you to tell me not to, just because sometimes it's not this huge an event, but it still is something that sort of ruins, like, a punchline or a reveal, you know? So, like, being suspicious, don't worry about it, you know? Like, I think go for it, but I am really glad because sometimes I can't help, like, I read it before I realize I've read it, you know, just because I'm trying to find my spot where I left off last time. And I'm so glad that I never needed to do that this time. I was like very sure number only where I left off. And so I didn't need to read the title and like refresh, you know. I think also having covered an episode earlier this week instead of it being just like last week. So I had just watched and I knew right where I was because of that as well. But I can't believe that they literally just say it, which is just truly beyond the pale.
I did tell you in the like very first episode where I was also a guest on, I told you, yeah, there will be spoilers in the title, like Luffy will die. And it was not Luffy I was talking about there. But yeah.
Yeah.
So, first question.
I don't have to ask this, but yeah, why did you want to join me today? Just to mock my pain? Is that why, you sick fucks? All of you.
Yeah. Exactly, that's why. We need much more time to talk about this, you know.
Oh my god.
So from your reaction, what's the percentage like of Ace actually being dead? I'm just going to ask.
I'm giving it 100%. I buy that he's dead. If he's not, I'm going to be pissed. Like, I believe that he is, and I don't usually believe it. But it just felt like a real death scene. It was basically a death scene that lasted a whole episode. And the other times that I have thought somebody was dead and it turned out they weren't, it was a side character and you don't actually see them expire. You see them like fall or, you know, something happens and it's like their eyes go white, but it's a sort of, well, what does that mean exactly? And this really felt decisive to me. Like that feels like Ace is gone. And I really, you guys, I just edited the episode one before the one before this one, where I said, this is the first time I'm starting to wonder if Luffy's even going to save Ace this time. Like, I am beginning to think he might not win, and I have never worried about that before. So, of course, when he gets rescued, I thought, we're all good.
Of course.
Oda, you are such a dick. I hope you're watching this.
I'm going to re-listen to this a lot of times. I hope nobody gets mad at me, and I hope you trust me as a co-host. Like being not my first time here, but yeah, Ace is dead. He will never meet Brooke. He will never meet Frankie. He will never set a foot on the Sunny. He's gone.
I can't believe after all this is how he dies. Like, it's not even just the fact that they rescued him and he dies after being rescued, which is really mean in and of itself. But it's also, it felt like he had a much bigger role to play directly in Luffy's story. And not that this isn't hugely affecting Luffy's story, but it's the rescue of him is affecting his story. I thought Ace, I didn't think he would join the Straw Hats, but I think that I was expecting there to be another plot line that involved him somehow accomplishing a goal on behalf of Whitebeard, or maybe he's the captain now. Look at me. But I just didn't think, after having spent really such a little amount of time with Ace ever, that this would be the end of him already. It's very sudden, it seems to me,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but do you feel like we will see more of him, like in a different way? Like,
I was sort of wondering if there was something that he'd been up to, and we'll see like flashbacks or something like that. Like, maybe because he's clearly been doing shit. We have kept sort of cutting to him in the midst of battles and confrontations and stuff. And we haven't gotten a ton of info about what was going on with all of those. So we may wind up having to sort of piece things together that were happening before. And that's sort of what I'm thinking, but it's just not the same.
No.
It's just like,
it maybe even will hurt more, depending on what we'll find out,
Jessica says, now you make me sad. I wanted Ace to see how much Luffy and his crew have grown. Yeah. Like, you get one moment in these 3 episodes where he says, Luffy, you've gotten a lot tougher, I think is what he says. Like, it's the one moment of acknowledgement, like, you've grown up, little bro, and that's all that we get after everything. And I can't help but be like, is this going to make Luffy become stronger somehow? Like, has Ace been fridged? And I'm not really using that term here because it's not the same, obviously. But, like, is this loss going to spur him on to do something else bigger and badder eventually? I don't know. Luffy has never experienced a loss like this that I know of. Like, we still don't really know who his mother was, right? We found out what happened with Ace's mother, and that she somehow held him in for like a year and a half and then gave birth. But we still haven't got any info on Luffy's mom, right?
No, like in general, Luffy's past is still somewhat nebulous. We have the parts with Shanks, but honestly, how did he end up there, like in this bar, kind of alone?
Yeah.
And Garp was somewhat in his past, but also there we have not a lot of details going on.
So I can't say that, like, well, Luffy lost his mother, because I don't know what happened with his mother. I don't know if he was close to her, ever knew her, if he experienced the loss of her firsthand. So, like, for the most part, like, Luffy's gone through a lot of challenges, but he has almost always come out ahead, almost every single time. And to have, like, technically succeeded here, but not when it comes down to it, I feel like this has to really change who he is. I hope it does. Like, it's not like I'm like, let's change Luffy because I don't like him. But I mean, this sort of thing as a person would change you. It's
Definitely.
just kind of part of like getting older and realizing that you can do everything right and it still doesn't matter, you know, like that's a really hard realization that you come to as you get older, because as a kid, you're fed a lot of stories about how, you know, you just have to work hard and you just have to follow the rules and you just have to put your heart and soul into it and you'll always win. And then you finally get to a point where that isn't how it works anymore. And I kind of feel like, I wonder how he's gonna fucking see Garp now. Because Garp, like, let Luffy land a punch to save Ace. But then this fight, Garp, it felt to me, lets himself get taken down again so that he can't intervene.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Luffy is going to be able to forgive that or not. Like,
It's a good question.
I don't know if Garp's going to be able to forgive himself for that or not. Like, you know, I don't know, man. Is this going to be a heel turn for Garp? Is he going to be a pirate now? He'd be.
I don't know.
Pirate.
Like, he's hot nevertheless. Well, the thing is, I mean, I get what you mean, but also, basically, the moment where Garp gets into movement, it's already done. I think, like
it's true. Yeah.
So it's kind of like he is not on a preventing way, but on a revenge way.
Yeah.
Like that's what gets him going. And maybe I have said this before, but I feel just Garp is one of the most interesting characters, you know, because I have seen like a lot of different opinions. Like some people really like him, some people like cannot forgive him, like basically for not stepping up here, you know.
Yeah.
And I can see like both sides, or like just in general, it is like just a mess in a way, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, Garp is like the very reason that I like him, the fact that he seems to really believe in the Marines, is also the reason that I don't like him. Because you really believe in the Marines? Come on, man. Get the fuck out of here. Like, it's like a guy who's like a good-hearted cop. Yeah, no, though. You're a cop, though. And you suck. And that's all there is to it. You're a part of this bullshit. You know the bullshit's happening and you're still part of it. And then you try and act like, oh, well, all of you, pirates are no more or less corrupt than the Marines. Just when it comes down to it, like, they're just not. And so while I admire that he seems to try and like stick to what he believes by not getting involved, I also feel like you have a really silly, childish understanding if you really do believe what you believe. And I can't respect that. So sort of, the energy I like, but where it's directed, I'm just like, that's not, you're completely headed in the wrong place, you know?
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Yeah.
All right. Let's start the meeting, shall we?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Whitebeard's final order. Because we pick up with, Whitebeard's in really, really bad shape. He has already in the previous episodes basically been like, I may not make it out of this, guys. So if I don't, y'all better throw in behind Luffy. And we pick up with Ace and Luffy like descending like a ball of fire from the heavens onto, I was going to say the ground. I guess it's the ground of,
yes.
You know, it's just talking about this place is so strange because it's just, it feels like it was literally built on it feels like Killer Bark almost. Like it's a free floating, you know what I mean?
Yes, no, I get what you mean. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I feel like it's just like, it feels like a giant rock, and then they just built onto that rock, you know? Like, it's not quite floating, but it is definitely not. Like, there's more man-made than natural landscaping going on.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I actually, one time, I just a little side thing, what is the biggest place that you have ever been to, like man-made place? And I don't speak about height, I mean like really the area. Like,
well, in Texas, I live right near Lake Texoma, which is the largest man-made lake in the United States. So probably that counts, but it's like a weird one because I've only been to like the shoreline of one section of it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it would probably have to be the arena where I saw Beyonce perform. That was huge. I have never been in a building that size that could hold that many people because it was a sold out show. And I think it was like 81,000 people. It was beyond. I when Rashawn and I stepped out and saw, because like we were in the nosebleeds, like as far away from the stage as it's possible to get, and it was this very steep seating, so that your feet were behind the head of the person sitting in front of you. So the stairs were very, very steep, and something about that made it all the more visible, just the space, because there wasn't that sort of flat line of seats extending forward. It was like you were standing on the edge of a cliff looking out. And so that was probably the biggest building I've been in. Yeah. What about you?
Yes. Yeah, well, first of all, I just asked because like a few episodes ago you said like you have like no like real sense of space sometimes in this art, you know, and there are like so many people and you're like, like, I don't know, somebody like Whitebeard attacks and it seems like half the people should go flying, but then there are more others there. What I had to think of is just, I have to be in two places, well, actually almost three, that have this feeling. Here in Europe are like some castles, like the Versailles in France, in like where, near Paris. And you will not believe, like when you walk there, it is just humongous, like really the space, like just, it is insanity. Like you cannot, like I cannot really tell you, because I have been to concerts, like, you know, like outdoor concerts, like that were huge, and you could have like fit 3 of those, just in the plaza alone. It is huge. The same in Austria, like in Vienna, there have also like a huge, ginormous thing. And the other one is a sadder one. It's like I was one time at a concentration camp in Germany, and that is like when you walk out there and you just see all this area, just all this space, and you know, this was filled with people. You know, like you see pictures where they're all cramped there, and it's like, this is insanity. Like this is huge here, and so. Like we humans can make like big areas, like where it's just like concrete or like rubble on the ground. Like we can do that, and it is kind of humbling to see at times.
That's a good point. Like I'm gonna try and keep in mind the arena that I saw her in, because when put in that context, you could send like dozens of people flying every 5 minutes. And you wouldn't get through half of the people there. Like, that would be very easy to do. So, thank you. That helps, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes big numbers are, like, difficult to imagine.
It really, it really is.
You need some context somehow. And they fall down back to the episode, and
these
just
dudes
a
are
quick
like
shout
they're
out.
trying to take aim at them while they're falling, and it's just so like it's so sad. Ace just dispatches this whole group almost with no effort. It feels like to me. I couldn't help laughing though because like he lands on his feet and Luffy lands on his feet. And then Mr. 3 is just like crumpled up in the back with his legs in the air and his glasses fall off. And I was just like, real sad. Like he was clutch. We wouldn't be here without Mr. 3. And I do enjoy the fact that he has turned out to be like really instrumental considering how much I hated him. I really hated him. Like so much.
Yes. That's what I was about to say. Like the first time meeting him, I really disliked him. And it kind of pains me to say, I think like I talked about this the last time at Impel Down where I was around. I do like him. Like it is like really begrudging in a way. It's just like, okay, you have been clutch like several times now. So yes, okay, you can stay. But and I think like this is like when we get like some cool fight scene with Luffy and Ace being side by side.
Yeah.
Just fucking shit up. I love to see it.
Essentially, yeah, basically. And, everybody is like, all right, well, we're going to try and hit Ace, but don't forget that he is a Logia type, which basically means his body is fire. And so he's going to be very difficult to hit. And I did kind of think to myself, it feels like a losing strategy to even try and hit him at this point. Like, why is that the method that you would go with? I am curious, and I don't know if this is anything, but like when you're dealing with Crocodile and you get water on him, that fucks up with his power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that happen with Ace if you get water on him with him being like fire, made of fire? Does that do anything to like dampen, pun intended, his abilities?
That's a good question. I would guess yes. But
I would think so, right?
Yeah, but maybe not as effective, I guess, against Crocodile. But I don't know for sure. Because the thing is, with water, when it comes right down to it, it is actually the weakness of all the devil fruits,
Yeah, true.
So, but particular for Crocodile, but maybe also particular for Ace. So that's.
I was just thinking that maybe they should just get some fire hoses instead of guns, and that might actually be a better bet. Like, it also may not work, but I feel like I would be more confident in that than I would regular guns, considering. And like, they try and fire at them, and it goes like worse than they even could have expected, because first of all, let's just talk about the fact that these guys are gathered around these dudes in a circle and fire, which is already, what are you doing, dudes? You're basically firing at your own guys across the circle from you, which is already just, hello. But then it doesn't hit Ace, and Luffy, with his like weird boing powers, catches all of the bullets and shoots them back at them. And you, again, should have seen that coming, guys. You've seen him do this a few times. Mm-hmm. How are you still being caught off guard by this? You have to find a new way to handle some of these dudes. The Marines are not flexible. They don't adapt. Well,
no, they're just following orders, I guess.
It's weak.
Yeah.
Jessica says the water might evaporate before hitting him. That's possible. I just want to see, I'm just curious. Like, maybe there's only so much water he could evaporate, and then it would get through. Maybe there's like a sheer amount that would wind up being effective, but anything less than that wouldn't. I don't know. I'm just curious. But now we'll never know, will we? So, cool.
Well, no, I'm just going to ask this because we're on the topic. Well, will we never know? Like, do you feel like that's totally guesswork, but do the devil fruits reappear? Because we have only ever seen like one kind of devil fruit, like only one
Right.
gum fruit, one like, I don't know, fire fruit, at the time.
Right.
But once he dies, does this devil fruit like reappear somehow, or is it just like once in eons, or I don't know.
I don't know.
What
I don't
would
really
you
get
guess?
the way that devil fruit work anyway. Like, we have been given so little information about that.
We have.
And it was his like the fire fruit.
Yeah, I feel like it's the flare fruit. I feel like it's the
Flare. Okay.
I feel like.
Because the thing that I keep sort of getting hung up on with devil fruits is like, where do they appear? And because each of the fruits does a different thing, the fruits each look slightly different, right?
Yeah.
But do the trees that the fruits grow on look different from each other? Or does the same looking tree produce different looking fruits? And does it produce more than one fruit? Can you basically like grow a devil fruit tree by planting a devil fruit and then get more devil fruits from that?
Like in Animal Crossing, yes.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. Now we're speaking a language I understand. Perfect.
Right, I mean, that's your guess is good as any, I would say, at this point, because we really have not gotten any real information about the devil's fruit. But
yeah.
I just was curious what you're thinking about that.
I feel like it would, if another fruit like his were to reappear, that would indicate a sentience I was never expecting from the devil fruits. That would be like, how I'm operating right now is that devil fruits are basically still sort of like a biological phenomenon, even though what they amount to is magic. It feels like, but there's like a pseudoscience kind of thing behind it. But if a new fruit appears just because he has died, that is straight up magic. That's going to change how I see them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's not a bad thing. It's just like going to be a different way of thinking about them. It's kind of wild how deep we are into this so far, and we still don't have any info on devil fruits. Like, and I feel like nobody is really asking about them. Like, I'm so sorry, but if you lived in a world where these existed, wouldn't you be absolutely fucking obsessed with them? Wouldn't you want to know everything? Wouldn't you just be like, I mean, how aren't there more folks just clamoring to understand them and find more of them? It just feels so. It's not like devil fruits aren't highly prized, because they are, but because they're so highly prized, you would think that people would be out there seeking them in a much more organized and specific way.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't seen any of that. And that's not to say it's not happening, but it isn't at all like at the forefront of the story. And really, when it comes down to it, fuck a One Piece. Where's the devil fruits? Get me those. That would be much more what I'd like. Money, sure. But if you've got these kinds of powers, it feels like you can just then get money somehow because you have these powers. Like, that's, it just feels sort of like you're really focusing on a sort of mundane treasure. And these powers are way more dope than like a pile of gold, I would think,
Yeah. Well, just putting that out there, we don't really know what the One Piece is. So
true.
Who knows? Maybe
it's all the devil fruits.
Maybe, or like
maybe
the
it's
secret,
a devil fruit island.
Yeah, like one island where they all grow and they just fall from the trees into the water and then get out into the world somehow.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's a possibility.
Or maybe somebody's manufacturing them and they're not naturally occurring at all.
Maybe.
Jessica says, but you wouldn't
just
be called King of the Pirates
bombs.
without the One Piece. Oh my god, bath bombs.
Like really elaborate bath bombs.
The blood bombs. You drop them into your blood and they make you fizzy, turn you into fire. Okay. So yeah, lots and lots of fighting here. I love Ace's fire gun. I don't know why, but the fact that you basically just do the motion for finger guns that you do when you're just like, hey, like that really cracks me up. It's very, very funny to me. And I just want to mention, like, as this firefight, I didn't mean for that to be the thing, but yes. As this is happening, there isn't even an inkling for me that Ace isn't making it out of this. Like, this is fully feeling like we are reaching the end of this arc and Ace is on his way to escaping, and now we're gonna be doing a whole thing with him. Like, the whole energy of this feels like we're winding down now that he's out. He's getting to let loose and get a little bit of revenge. I don't want to call it that because I don't feel like he sees it that way. But, he's just getting to let loose finally after being imprisoned like he was. Yeah. And I just never, ever thought. So we have like the flashback of him and Luffy, baby Luffy, in his tiny baby hat.
I love this sequence. Like they are running and like you see their shadows as child selves, and then it turns to the present, and it's just symbolism. I just love it.
Yeah.
Like him catching up with his brother.
That you've gotten pretty tough.
Yeah.
And Luffy he doesn't really respond. He just is like, thanks, because the two of them fighting together, it's clear, like, Ace has always been the strength between the two of them. Luffy's been fighting to catch up for a long time, it feels like.
Yeah. And I find it interesting. Well, I was thinking, like, did you anything suspect going into these episodes, like, knowing that it's going to be a wannabe, or, like, when you already said? No?
I really thought it was going to be the death of somebody like Garp or even Whitebeard, or like a side guy, which still would have been sad. Like it would have felt that, like, it would have felt warranted to have a wannabe to talk about that, because Garp dying would be a big deal, But yeah, I just didn't think it was going to be Ace himself. Like, that just would feel too mean-spirited to me.
When I rewatched this episode, it was like, it actually, like, I feel like the first one, or like the first and a half one, it actually could feel like that Whitebeard is going to die, because he does say, like he sends his people on, basically, and or wants to make like a last grand stand. And granted, he is, or like he's still doing that. We're not at the end, but it is. That's actually what I was first thinking, seeing this, like, he's gonna die, and then all of a sudden, no, it's Ace, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's a real sense of like the potential of he straight up says that he has sort of accepted that he may die here, so it just felt like that was being projected, and I'm sure that's on purpose, but rude. That's like all.
Can you call this a red herring? I don't know. Yeah,
I think so. Or you could do like a misdirect, I guess.
Yeah, a misdirect.
Yeah. So what's the name of Ice Guy? Is that Akainu?
Aokiji.
Aokiji, right.
He's Aokiji. Akainu is the lava guy.
Okay. He's the one that actually kills Ace.
Mm-hmm.
So Aokiji shows up and he does Pheasant Beak, which I have to say is one of the weaker sounding attacks. Like, it is dope looking, and they clearly are very effective against one another, but it just sounds like Pheasant Beak. Like, you couldn't pick any other bird that looks a little bit more threatening. A pheasant is like a very pudgy, edible bird. It just doesn't hit, that's like being like hen's tooth. Like, I don't know. I don't feel it. I want, even if you did something like a griffin or an eagle would be very easy. Falcon, I think would be dope, but it looks impressive. It's very cool, but I just feel like that name needs some workshopping. That's all.
Absolutely. It is. I mean, I'm just going to say it is like his epithet or like part of his, like he's called like the blue pheasant apparently.
A shame.
It's not really good. It is
I feel
okay.
Like I'm trying to think of like a bird that you associate with ice, and all I come up with is penguin, which isn't actually that much better. So
no,
I don't know.
Yeah. But it kind of suits him because he's like, I mean, like I can see like an eagle or a hawk, but that would be like almost too aggressive or like for his character, like his mentality basically.
Yeah, I agree with that. So let's do a little detour here and talk about Buggy.
Oh, yay.
Buggy is out here just hovering on the sidelines and waiting for everybody to sort of finish each other off or like get to the end stage when then he can step in and sort of take credit, right? For like taking one or more of these people down. And they still have the poor little transponder snail. And this thing, I love it. It turns out like Buggy is glad that it's not transmitting because he doesn't want people like seeing that he's not doing anything right now and not participating. But when they're trying to get the snail to work and they're like yelling at it, you go inside its shell where it's hiding and you see its face as it's reacting to them talking about putting it back in like the salt water and stuff. And then, oh my God, I almost said Buffy. Buggy says something about how like, guys, you're being really unsympathetic and this snail is just trying to do its job. It doesn't even want to be here. Probably reporting on everything that's happening is very traumatic and you need to have a little bit more compassion. And the snail, which he's like trying to make excuses so that they don't film anymore, the snail hears him and is like, oh my God, it gets all like teary-eyed and then comes back out of his shell, which Buggy does not want because it feels so grateful that Buggy has been so considerate of it, which I feel like is one of my favorite jokes they have ever done. I don't know why, but this just like, it's just the fact that like the snails are so inconsequential. They're just around and they don't even feel like living things most of the time, even though they are.
Yeah.
And so it's just very unexpected that like this snail's personality and its needs would play such like a key role in this, because then it decides that it is going to film Buggy. And let me tell you guys, it is underwhelming. Buggy has nothing to say. He keeps repeating that he's just a legend. At one point, they use a filter that makes him look wacky, and he's very happy about it.
I feel like this. Do they say they use a filter or like?
It says, use that filter in the dub. I don't know if in the sub that's what they say.
I probably, but I just, in my mind, it was not a filter. It was just like Buggy using his powers, and like kind of, he can chop himself up. So he kind of chopped
my
himself up and
God.
then like reformed like his outsides, so he would look like pixelated. I don't know,
Oh my
but
God.
but that's what I imagine happened there.
Yeah, in the dub, he's like, yeah, use that filter. That looks flashy. That's what he says.
Okay, good. Then I missed that. Sorry.
But yeah, everybody who's like watching this is like, we don't care about Buggy. What's happening with the prisoner? Let us see what's going on. And it's weird because like he says he wants to get on camera to show off initially, but he doesn't want to actually get involved because he feels so like outmatched by everybody here. So I don't know why you wouldn't just direct the camera to what everybody else is up to, just to like get the focus off you. If you do feel like you can't measure up, don't stand in front of the camera and make it super obvious that you're not involved in the fighting at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. There's that as well. Yeah.
I
just really like that whole sequence though.
Yeah. No, it is. It is funny. Like, Buggy is kind of, he was already in Impel Down at parts, a comedic relief, but it's just done so well. So I'm not mad at it. Like, it's just so funny, like, that's how you do it,
Yes.
I think one thing that not skipped over, but I don't want to talk too much about this character, but Squart, which I hate his name. I hate his name. We don't have to talk a lot about him, but he just shows up on the ship on a like suicide mission, and Whitebeard is like, you stupid bitch.
Yeah.
What are you doing? No.
This dude is like...
Sit your ass down.
I can't believe how... after everything, it's like he's still... correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like he thinks, since I broke trust with Whitebeard, now I have to stick to it? Which... why, like, he's clearly willing to forgive you, it feels like to me. I don't know if it's supposed to be that Squard just has so much pride that he won't accept that, or if I'm misunderstanding the situation.
The situation is that Squard was wanting to sacrifice himself for Whitebeard and like for the rest of the crew.
Okay. Because I was misunderstood, because then like at one point Whitebeard is saying, don't you know what it's like to have to kill one of your own sons? Like, how dare you? And I was sort of like, wait, what?
No, I think what he says is like, putting one of your sons, like basically being at the funeral, which I get what you mean with like, it sounds like he is going make the funeral happen, but no, it's like the thing more, it is meant more like you are killing yourself in front of me, like how devastated that makes me feel, like seeing you die because of me, like for me.
Yeah.
That's what makes Whitebeard upset. Because he doesn't want any of his boys to die. He just doesn't want that. Even though Squirt can die, if you ask me. Because I'm sorry, like, you stabbed this man, and he basically forgave you. And I don't know, like, this feels like really self-centric, like still really egotistical, is that the word? Like, basically, I have to make things right and sacrifice myself. Oh, sorry, that was my chair. I don't know if you heard that.
That's fine. I have also got a very noisy chair.
And I was just like basically get over yourself. Like, you're not that important. Like, but
there's just something about like the fact that this is even going on still that I was like, sir, your part in this feels over. Can you just let it go? And it's not about you anymore. Like,
Absolutely.
Nobody cares.
But I feel like, I mean, probably like from a story writing perspective, this is included to really give more to Whitebeard as well. Like basically,
Yeah.
this is after this is like the moment where he's like sending them on. Like it's like giving his speech that he will stay behind and they shall move on.
Yeah.
I guess that was like the trigger for that.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just also to emphasize like what a good guy he is, and that he's, you know, still cut up at the idea of losing this guy even though he betrayed you.
We actually, I wonder if you caught that, but we do see Whitebeard as a young Whitebeard in, I think, the second episode.
Yes, I did.
Did you catch that? Okay, good. Because basically, the scene was that they got a lot of treasure. Like, apparently his crew did. Like, he did not have his own crew, it seemed like. Mm-hmm. And he is not interested in the treasure. And they ask him, well, why are you a pirate then? And we do, as the audience, do not get the answer. Do you have any?
He's just like gazing out at the ocean thoughtfully.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what the answer would be or could be?
I don't know, because what it feels like to me is that this dude deciding like I'm going to call everybody my son is trying to fill a hole in his life, you know? And I don't know if he actually lost a son or maybe a whole family. And he's decided, like, I'm going to make a family, or I'm going to, maybe he was abandoned and he was like, I'm going to be the father that I wish I had, you know, on behalf of other people. But it definitely feels like the way he operates presently is definitely coming from some place like very, very personal. Because that kind of commitment to it, where you're even willing to forgive somebody who literally just stabbed you in the heart or tried to, like that's coming from a really deep well of emotion. And if he's not worried about the treasure, like the treasure was the friends we made along the way. That's what it seems like to me. And I do think it's funny that like everybody is just so puzzled by him. One of them, I'm so sorry, you guys. I know this is really, really immature, but anytime somebody is like, how can he not care about the booty? I can't help but snicker to myself a little bit. That's funny. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No, I also had to laugh. Just a little shout out to, I think, the last episode where it was like, Boa saying, "You foolish, misshapen man-child."
Yes.
That was such a, you said it, and that's just a great line. Like, yeah, I listened to these episodes also, like the ones before that, and I was like, that's a great line. And then I listened to your podcast, and it's like, that's a great line. And I'm like, yeah, isn't it?
I literally, like, unfortunately, because of the way that the protections work for Hulu, if you try and screenshot something, you only get the subtitle and the whole screen is black. They don't let you screenshot the actual image. I don't know if it would work if I tried to use like Funimation or something, but I tried to screenshot it and it was only the subtitle that came up, and I was like, I don't care. And I sent it to Candace anyway, and I was like, new insult just dropped. You foolish misshapen man-child is going into the arsenal. That's that on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this is a moment where then everybody is like, no, we cannot leave you behind, Whitebeard, father. And I feel like we get a moment where Ace is looking back and shooting some fire, not at Whitebeard, but like I feel at some Marines around him. And I feel like then we get like this really cool sequence, the two of them like surrounded by flames, and the flames like turning blue or bluish, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also when like Akainu sort of steps forward and starts to get involved in things. Is like Akainu is just sort of this guy. This guy took me by surprise because like we haven't seen him before, have we? Like in terms of like I'm sure we have seen him like at meetings, that sort of thing, but we haven't like seen him fighting, have we?
We have not seen him fighting, but I'm going to tell you a little bit something about Akinu.
Okay.
Way back on O'Hara, which is the island Robin grew up on. And I feel like you will remember what happened to that island. It got blasted to bits by the Marines.
Right.
And there was an evacuation ship. Evacuation? Do I say that?
Evacuation.
Like where? Evacuation, thank you.
Yes.
Evacuation. Almost. Okay, good. Where like the citizens of this island were on, you know. Like,
right.
They were down. And one of the vice admirals was like, no, we have like, nobody can leave. And we shoot this motherfucker down. And Robin stands on the island and sees like her, like everybody that she knows, not everybody, but just like people from the island, like basically all on that one ship dying. That vice admiral was Akainu. That's him.
Oh, okay.
So basically he ain't shit now and he wasn't shit then. You know, he's just, that's how he rolls. So that's something you will, on a rewatch or reread, you will come across that. It's like, oh, that's that guy. Oh yeah, no, I already didn't like you and now yeah.
Yeah, and he like the fact that he is the one that takes Ace down because he just hasn't been. I would have expected it to be somebody that we personally have dealt with before, like Aokiji. You know, like someone that we have had firsthand experience with running into the crew and having to deal with them, and so the threat of that person and the abilities that they have would become really established in our minds. And when they took Ace down, it would feel like, okay, well, this person was brought into the story so that we would like get a chance to get to know who they are and what they're capable of. And that way, when we eventually reach this point, but it's really surprising to me that he is the one who actually kills Ace, because I felt like he has not felt like a huge presence at all, even in this fight. Like, he has done some dope shit with his wild, like, fist comets. I don't know what else to call those. So don't get me wrong, like, it's not like he isn't active, but this is really the first time I've ever seen him doing anything, is this arc. So for him to be the one that's responsible for taking Ace down, I just wouldn't have expected it to be somebody that we've only kind of just met in the, relatively speaking, just met, even though we've been on this arc for like months at this point, but it is still quite recent. So yes,
definitely. I don't, in a way that makes it, I feel like more disrespectful, like kind of like,
yeah,
which
definitely.
I mean, maybe also makes sense. Like that's maybe what Oda wanted us to feel. Sorry.
Probably, yeah.
And just in general, we are not fully, like in the episode count, we are not halfway there, but this whole happening here, like this whole war going on, and I mean, there are like a lot of big players here, you know. This is like considered for a lot of people like the unofficial halfway point of the story, you know, like
okay, yeah,
because it is so much going on, and well, something really hugely happens, like Ace dying. Which, by the way, I'm so happy that you didn't get spoiled on. Like, literally anybody who starts this series, if they get spoiled on anything, it's this. It's like that Ace dies. Like,
oh wow, yeah, no, that sucks.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it's like when I found out Rashawn didn't know that Snape kills Dumbledore. Spoilers, everybody. But like, yeah, that's the thing that you would think everybody knows at least about Harry Potter.
No, that's I don't know. You know, it is kind of, I mean, it is really cruel because it is like the joke of like, in One Piece, nobody dies except Ace. So like, that is like a joke, that a meme that floats around in the internet, in the One Piece community, and just in general. A lot. Like, you can come across that a lot. And it is so spoilery, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the best memes though, are the ones that have like a really massive spoiler in them usually.
Yeah, that's like, by the way.
Yeah, I really try and avoid spaces that I think would have spoilers though, because people are very fast and loose with One Piece info and imagery, you know, especially. So.
Absolutely. I mean, it is also like a really visual medium, you know, like it was from the beginning, like even just taking the manga, even that is super visual. Yeah, and I feel like, is this when he starts to goad them? Is this how you say that? Like,
oh my God.
Talking shit about
I'm
White
so
Beard?
sorry. Jessica in the chat is like, I didn't know about Dumbledore. Good thing I don't plan on reading soon. Sorry about it, Jessica. But Harry Potter is by a monster, so don't read it. But sorry, yeah. So I just got I'm like just scrolling through real quick because I'm still in the first episode in terms of like just wanting to touch on some of the characters, and the part where Whitebeard says, don't you know what it's like to force a father to bury his own son? So that's the way that line went, and that's why I definitely took that the wrong way. Okay,
I can see that, definitely, the way that you took it, but I don't feel like that's at all what is meant here.
No, yeah. Once you explain, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, now I get it. Oh my God, Emperor Jozu. Is this the guy that gets like frozen? Oh my God, he's so big. I really didn't think a diamond could freeze. I thought it would kind of be impervious to that happening, you know, but let's see. Oh yeah, Luffy is arguing with Ace about leaving because Whitebeard is beset on all sides. And his plan, obviously, is basically to just like give Ace a chance to take off, and Ace isn't willing to, like, this guy put his entire crew and all these other crews on the line to save his ass. And no, he is not just going to like repay this dude by fucking bouncing, which I do respect. Like, I couldn't do that either. You know, after everything, just, I don't care if you tell me it's okay and you're like, that's the whole reason I did this and you can't throw your life away. I just don't think I could live with myself walking away while this person is about to be murdered by a bunch of fucking underlings too. Like, he's not even, at this point, Whitebeard isn't up against any big dude. He's just surrounded by regular Marines, which is just, again, no, not happening.
Yeah.
That said, though, he does decide to really throw his life away in the end for reasons that I think are silly as shit.
I was about to. Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to be like, all right, I can't just let you be thrown into the meat grinder, but y'all are getting away, and then it's just Akainu being like, you know, he ain't shit anyway. He's a fucking failure and embarrassing. And that's what Ace can't let go of. Like, What are you thinking, my guy? Literally, what do you believe is happening here? Because it is so obvious you are being baited like a fucking 5th grader and falling for it like you're on a playground. A child would see through this. What are you doing? And this is the thing that I always run up against with this show, is that people do things for the sake of the principle, when, in my opinion, in that moment, the principle is so utterly irrelevant that it isn't, like, to me, it isn't even the principle anymore. You know, like, this is like Nami's mom being like, no, she is my child. And I'm just like, yeah, but now she doesn't have a mom because you couldn't just shut up. And I know that it's like, oh, the honor of not denying your child, but I'm sorry, that was the wrong decision and you were a fool for it. And that was like actually kind of shitty and selfish. And it's supposed to be this like honorable death. And I'm just like, no, sorry, it's not. You were stupid. That's what you get. And there is a big part of me here with Ace that is just like, dude, not only is this dude baiting you, but the whole identity of this man is that he works for the Marines and believes in what they do, which is, of course, that he would think somebody like Whitebeard is a pointless piece of shit. You aren't changing this man's entire outlook on life and just saying to him, take it back or else. Come the fuck on. Come on. Let's be fucking for real. That is very, very unserious of you, Ace. Like, I don't even know how you can say you value your own life at this point if this is the kind of thing that makes you... They're about to cut your head off. And you were like, well, you know, I guess this is what happened. And then here, they've gone through all of this to save you. And they're telling you to let it go. And now you won't? Shitty, Ace. That sucks. That was a bad move, and it was selfish, and it sucks. I'm mad at you over it. I'm not trying to say Ace deserved to die. I'm just saying maybe a little bit he did. Like 30%, 20% maybe.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about that in the future as well. I cannot say anything different. It is just, Ace is interesting, and yeah, we will maybe see a little bit more of his past, and maybe how he came to be such a easy manipulated, maybe in a way. But in the end, it still is not a good look. Like, no matter what explanation you might find out or will be given, bottom line, it's not great.
Yeah.
It's just, but you also have to think, I always forget this, Ace is 19. He's 19 at this point.
He's a child.
Because
what Ake even said, this actually got me laughing a little bit, because he was just like, all of you guys talk about how great Whitebeard is, and you even call him Pops, but look at what's about to happen to him. He even got stabbed in the back by one of his own sons because he took my word over his. And I was like, oh, that's just factual though, Ace. Like, I get that you're mad at what this guy is insinuating, but that is actual factuals. Like, and maybe that doesn't actually reflect on Whitebeard, and it really is reflecting on fucking
Squad.
Thank you. I'm just never gonna.
Like, names with Q are just strange, aren't they? Like, I don't know a lot of them. Like, the other one is Shrek. Not Shrek, but Lord Farquaad from
Farquaad, yeah.
That other one is just like, no, we just should. Q is not supposed to be in a name.
Q is a weird letter overall.
Absolutely.
There was, I can't get into that. There was something the other day where somebody was, I feel like it was one of the. Have you watched True Blood?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's the guy who plays Eric in that was like on the Colbert show, the late night show, trying to teach him how to say something in Dutch, and the like twisting of the sound of the letters. I was just like, it sounds like there should be a Q or something in there, but according to the subtitles where it's spelled out, that is not it. And I'm just looking at it like, man, we just kind of make letters do whatever. Like, we act like, oh, we all have the same alphabet, we're functioning with the same sounds, but our like letters mean totally different things than, or you just put a little like tilde on it or an umlaut, and that like changes everything.
Yeah, a little tidbit which I always found interesting, like E, the letter E, like in English, is in German, E means I, like the letter I.
Right, okay.
So it's like not even switched because E becomes E. So it's E and E for E and I, yes. So
that, I believe you, but that definitely, just you saying it right there was difficult for me to follow.
Yeah, no, it is just, as you said, like, it's the same letter, but just a different language, and we already pronounce it differently. So I totally agree with what you're saying.
Jessica says, a lot of people have a similar reaction to Ace getting baited. I don't get angry, but on reread, I know what is coming and had time to think about it. It's like, I get that sort of, this is how the show tends to function, where people will do things because there is just like some central tenet of their personality that has to be consistent right up until their death. Like, you need to show us that this is who this person is, and we all have like a character trait that could be our downfall if somebody really pressed us on it, which I actually kind of like that idea, but it's just when that central character trait happens to be something like this, where it's like you get played really easily. It's very frustrating to watch. At the same time, though, as somebody who has like a really predictable reaction to being told what to do, which is to then not want to do the thing, even though I know it's good for me or recommended by professionals or just going to make my life better. If I were in this show, I would die because somebody told me not to walk to the edge of that cliff. And I would be like, I can do what I want. And then I would just literally fall off the edge. It would crack under me and I would die. And everybody would be like, they fucking told you. And that would just be how it would be stupid death. It would be very, very dumb because I can be extremely childish about certain things. And being like bossed, that's one of those things that I'm very immature about. We all have our thing. So I accept it. I understand it. I even respect it. But also, what the fuck, Ace? Like, come on.
No, like, truly, we can have critics, critical opinion about this, but it is. So basically, I just want to not just want to get through this because I want it to be over, but the thing is that actually Ace does not die necessarily because he got baited. I mean, it's part of it, but actually in the end, he saves Luffy. That's... Yes,
true. True.
That's actually what gets the final blow in, Yeah, being baited is definitely part of that, but at the end, it was kind of like an act of real protection,
Yeah. Which is kind of ironic because, like, when he gets struck and you see, like, Luffy just sort of it registering on his face what just happened, he kind of, one of the first thing he says is like, but you said you would be here to protect me. And I was like, well, he was, Luffy. Like, that's literally what killed him, is how hard he was here to protect you. Like, he followed through on that, bro. I don't know what to tell you. And it's frustrating because, like, what I thought was sort of interesting here is that the reason Akainu can hurt Ace is his magma power. Magma is hotter than fire, as it turns out, which I believe, right? That's like probably scientifically correct. Yeah. Fire is not going to melt stone, but magma will. Magma is melted stone, right? Like,
yeah.
I wonder what the temperature is of magma. Hold on. I just want to know. Magma temperature. Between 700 and 1300 degrees Celsius, 1200 and 2300 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. That is a lot hotter than even I was expecting. My goodness.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is why when this dude punches him, that hits. And he's like coming at him at this point, and Luffy's on the ground, and it feels to me like Akainu went at Luffy because he knew that was going to be Ace's weak spot. And I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it looked like to me, was like Ace is down already, and he sees Luffy and is like, oh, I'm going to go after him then.
Yeah, no, that's definitely also how I read it. Like,
okay.
That's, yeah.
And then you see all of these, like, droplets floating in the air, but it's not clear at first that's what they are, because it's weird. They, like, bounce.
Yeah, no, these are not droplets of blood. These are, like, Ace wears a necklace that has, like, these huge beads.
Oh, okay. And I was not getting that's what that was.
Yeah, and they fly off.
And then
but they're right.
We don't know. Like, as viewers, I'm watching it. I'm seeing these balls like roll by, and I'm like, the fuck? Like, I was not understanding that was. And then you see Ace standing there in front of Luffy with like this giant fist coming through his chest, and I was like, wait, like it's so sudden, you know, and everybody around them, the reaction, if they hadn't established already that Akainu could hit Ace, this wouldn't have hit for me the same way, because I would have assumed Ace is fire and things go through him. So it wouldn't, you know, this is just a fist going through his body the way everything else has gone through his body. But it was just established that this man can make contact. And so once I see this, I'm just like, holy shit. Even like fucking Buggy off to the side is like, okay, that looks really bad. Honorable mention, by the way, to Marco, who everybody is still trying to get out of these shackles. That's just like this weird ongoing thing in the background.
Oh, yeah. Also honorable mention to Jinbei, who just like flies in later and it's just like, you have to fucking back off. Like, Jinbei once again also being clutch. Like,
yes. Yeah, I really enjoy Jinbei. I wish that he weren't quite as earnest as he is. I wish there was like a little more humor to him, but I do enjoy him. But yeah, so this, I mean, the injury that Ace has sustained, my immediate reaction was like, oh, this guy's dead. And I was really surprised, because at this point, I really thought that I had gotten past ever believing anybody was dead. And when I looked at him, I was just kind of like, I don't see how he survives this. If the show is trying to make him survive, I am going to have a really hard time with it. And indeed, there was a reason why. I mean, the wound is huge. Luffy's whole head could fit through it, you know? Akainu is like standing behind Ace and is twice the size of him. The hole through Ace's chest looks like it's at least 8 inches across, you know? And he says, it looks like you're still alive, if only barely. I'll have to rectify that. And he fucking winds up to deal another punch again at this point. And Whitebeard jumps in here. And he shoves his arm between, who is it this time that's shooting the laser? He's trying to like step in, and Laser Man is like, we're in the middle of a fight, bruh. What do you think? You're going to just walk away and help him? That's not how this works at all.
Yeah. Kizaru is the light
Thank
man.
you.
Yeah, the laser man. Can I just want to ask, like, this whole sequence that is following, how did you, like, feel? Were there tears in your eyes, or, like, with just the whole slow demise of Ace, one could say?
There weren't tears in my eyes until the very end when he says, thank you for loving me. The voice actor really went for it with his delivery at the end. Because this voice actor he can phone it in a tiny bit. A lot of the time, like, he's doing a solid job, but it never feels like he's that concerned about the emotion. And it really seemed like he dialed in for this scene and knew, I got to make it count. And so the tone of voice and the way he lets himself, like, his voice cracks and is very soft, like he can barely get it out. And he's doing this sort of almost like whistly breathing throughout. It was really, really affecting. And so when he says that, especially because I had been sort of like, I don't know if this guy is really going to be dead, though. Once we got to this point, I was like, oh my God, he really is dead. Like, it's happening. So it was a combo of how convincing he was with his voice acting and the reality, like, actually setting in finally. And it was just such a good line, because thank you for loving me on paper can feel real trite. It's you know, the kind of line that it all rests on how you deliver it. You'd say it the wrong way and it doesn't feel like anything.
Absolutely.
And I thought he really, really made it like seem this is this guy's last words, like they matter to him, you know? So yeah, I definitely got choked up, like, finally at the end. Yeah, but at the beginning, I wasn't willing to get choked up because I wasn't sure if I should believe it. I was just not trusting that this was happening. So,
yeah, no, that's totally fair. Like, we have a moment before where, like, Whitebeard asks Ace, like, before all of this happens, where Ace is bowing down to Whitebeard and he's like, just answer me, are you happy to have me as your father, you know? And Ace is, and he is, or felt like, an unloved child. We have seen that, you know, like, we have seen, like, his little flashbacks where he's, like, going around town asking about Gold Roger, like his actual dad. And nobody has anything good to say about that guy. And he just feels like, well, I guess I'm not loved and I'm not supposed to be here. And these people around him just showed him that, no, you are loved and we want you around here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is like, One Piece has, like, one of the big themes, I feel like, is just the theme of chosen family. It's just,
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I love it.
And with Ace, he got placed with the family for a while, but that person clearly was just like, I just want to be able to like care for you without it always being a fucking issue, dude. So it's not like the chosen family happens for him right away. It takes some time. He has to get older and,
I just gonna say, before that is done, and Ace actually says to Luffy, like, before he dies, oh yeah, tell her, like, thank you or something, He mentions her. And I'm just so excited for, when you will finally meet Dadan in some way or form. It is gonna be, I'm interested in your opinions of her. She's an interesting character that we have yet to meet.
And the impression that I get of her is just like, man, I just want to make dinner and eat dinner and watch my programs and go to bed. And there's always some fucking drama with you, dude. Why? Like, that's the vibe I get, but I have not really met her, so who knows?
And is there anything else you want to talk about specifically? Like, the last scene is something that I just find really sad. Like, just like Ace falls down or from Luffy's shoulder basically onto the ground, and Luffy's just sitting there. And even before that, we have like a scene where you have no sound, everything is quiet, and everything around them seems to not even be in slow motion, like literally stopping time.
Yeah.
That is like just an amazing scene and so sad. Like, I feel for Luffy so hard. Like I said it before, Ace is not my favorite. I like him. I definitely like him, but not at all in my top 10. Sorry. But
out there, it's just like, what the fuck did you say?
But still, he's a great character, and especially thinking about Luffy in this context is just so heartbreaking to me.
Yeah, the way that Luffy is drawn to, it's just part of me being like, this is just something Luffy has never gone through, because we have never seen this kind of expression on his face before. We have seen him angry. We have seen him shocked. We have seen him welled up. But this combination of disbelief and hurt and shock and rage, definitely, and for me, definitely, like, the point of him letting go of Ace, I was like, okay, so he's accepting he's gone, because I sort of wondered if we were going to have Luffy refusing to believe it, because there's sort of a sequence leading up to this right after he's been punched, where everybody is being called over to see if they can do something to save him, and Luffy just doesn't want to hear it, that there's nothing that can be done. And I was like, are we going to have him refusing to accept it, But once he hears Ace's last words and lets him slide to the ground, I was like, okay, he wouldn't have let go of him like that if he didn't believe that was it. And when Ace goes down, he has a little smile on his face, just to signal he got to say what he needed to say. And you see also his Viva card just completely disappear into ashes.
That was also I feel like the Viva card is actually an ingenious storytelling device on part of Oda, because he's like, okay, I know you all motherfuckers out there say, oh, nobody dies, so I'm gonna literally have a paper that symbolizes the life of the person who is from, basically, and the shit is gonna burn up, and they're fucking dead, that was for me, I see what all you're saying, with Luffy letting him go, but this little piece of paper burning up was for me okay, no, he is this was my last hope. I was always thinking we will see the card and there will be a little tiny bit left, but no, that shit is gone. It is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Luffy's crying again with like a voice actor really bringing it. The voice actor crying as Luffy. It could almost be funny if you did it wrong, because his voice is kind of silly a lot of the time. And having somebody with a silly voice sobbing, crying, it could turn a corner to being kind of humorous, even though it's not supposed to be. And I felt like she did a really good job of making it actually heart-wrenching.
Mhm.
The voice actors really pulled out all the stops for this.
Yeah. No, do you know that when somebody's crying, but it also can sound like laughter in a way?
Oh yeah.
Especially if you don't see them, if you just hear it. Sometimes,
Mhm.
and that is like something I feel like is kind of pulled off here in a way where it's like, if you would only hear it, it almost could like feel like a manic laughter, which I feel like it's not so like manic crying and manic laughter are like really close neighbors.
Oh yeah. Have you ever laughed so hard that it's turned into crying? Have you ever had that happen? I've had that happen like twice in my life, and it was the sort of thing like as it happened, I was like, "Oh God, something's happening." Like, I think laughter can just be such a release, and it gets things rolling when you haven't let yourself feel things, and then the doors open and the rest of it comes out that you weren't planning on, you know? But then the other day, like I was in here and I was watching something with my headphones on, cracking up. I was laughing so hard. And Owen came rushing in all freaked out because he thought that I was like sobbing, that something had happened. And I'm just sitting here like just with this huge grin, and he comes in and was like, oh, okay. Like clearly a little irritated because he had gotten extremely worried all of a sudden.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Well, okay, I want to ask you something. This is so rude.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, yes. What is Ace's favorite food?
Kebabs.
No, it's a donut. Because he's a donut at the end. And yes, that's an answer of Oda.
Wow. Oda. You really are a sick fuck. Huh. What's wrong with you, man? Yes. Damn, that's fucked up. Jesus Christ. Wow, that is grim, sir. Yeah. Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of something that'd be easy to flame broil, you know? Wow. Really not okay, Florian.
Yeah, not okay, Oda, but yeah, that is his official answer, so.
My God.
Yeah,
that's fucked up. Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to go over before we wrap this one up?
Not really. Just like maybe, I mean, you already said you expect this shift of character in Luffy, like not maybe a total new Luffy, but just in general, like maybe besides Luffy, what do you expect for like the next episodes? Any idea?
I don't know. That's the thing that I'm sort of like, because, you know, everything has kind of come to a screeching halt. Luffy is here in the midst of these guys who are really huge badasses, overpowered, and he has been so focused on getting Ace out that now that Ace isn't a factor anymore, it's just about Luffy and his cohorts getting out. And I'm not really sure he's going to be that worried about that anymore. I kind of wonder if he isn't going to just get overwhelmed with wanting to take down the dude who did this to Ace. And I don't want him to do that because I don't feel like he's in the headspace to take that dude on. But also, if you were like, well, we're going to have this, what just happened to Ace, sort of level Luffy up and break open some other untapped potential that's been lying dormant because pain makes you grow. I wouldn't hate that, but it would also feel like a little bit too soon to have that happen. And I feel like maybe Whitebeard is going to have to step in and stop him, because Whitebeard is going to be just as hurt that Ace is gone. But I think that he would not be willing to like let Luffy throw his life away, because what would be the point? Probably keeping in mind that like Ace wouldn't want that as well, that if Ace were here, he would want Whitebeard to protect his brother. He gave his life to save Luffy. Don't go fucking doing something like that now, you know? So I feel like it has to be just getting the fuck out of there, but that's the smart thing to do. And I don't know if that's what we're doing here, you know? Or you could go the other way, because like my instinct is Luffy just acts out hugely and launches into some sort of like almost like a suicide attack. But you could also go the other way, where Luffy just loses all motivation to do anything. Like, this is such an alien thing that happened, a loss that he can't even comprehend, that he just freezes up and doesn't know how to process it or keep moving. You know, like,
how mad would you be if next episode is just like a blackout and Luffy wakes up and we have like missed the rest of this battle?
That would be pretty fucked up. Considering how much time we have spent in this battle, to then miss the end of it, to skip it, I would be like, well, we could have skipped a lot of other parts too if we were going to do it that way. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it wouldn't be so much as I feel like a cheat in the sense of like, I wanted to see it so much as like, well, there was lots of this that we saw that I didn't particularly want to see. And I would have liked to sort of deal with this sooner then. So that's how, I think I would just be frustrated. Just be like, well, so now we can just like jump over events? Okay. But
that's right.
I also feel like they are so entrenched that if he wakes up after, that suggests that these guys have gotten out. And if we didn't get to see them get out, I don't know if I'm believing that they managed to do it. It would feel like maybe Oda just didn't know how to get his people out and decided, all right, I don't want to deal with it. We'll just say they got out. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so that's that.
Yeah.
No, don't do that, Oda.
Okay, good. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just interesting because you were like, yeah, maybe he's incapacitated, and we're like, well, then he blacks out. Okay, when he blacks out, what does mean? You know, like, do we then still see what's happening?
What I'm thinking about with him being incapacitated is more like there's a full retreat by the pirates, and Whitebeard basically has to like pick Luffy up and carry him. Like Luffy has just completely checked out, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
He's still like awake and conscious, but he is like sort of, I don't want to say like vegetative. That's not quite it, but you know, like, what do they call that?
In shock? I would just
I
say
guess
he
in shock.
would be in shock.
Yeah, there's another word for it that I can't remember now. But yeah, basically in shock. So catatonic. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah,
catatonic. Jessica said of your joke, that was mean.
It's not my joke. I'm just.
That was Oda being mean. Oda's apparently quite mean.
Can I say one more thing, or are we over time? Like,
no, go ahead.
That's something I wanted to mention as well. You said that when Ace died, he had like a little smile on his face. Something I'm pointing out to you, because that's something that you don't catch the first time watching ever, is that actually everybody who has a D in their name and dies on the show dies with a smile on their face. Like there is podcast DAs, what's Gold Roger himself, he died smiling, and I think the Giant, also no horror, like with Robin's backstory, here also was Saul, like the Saul something. and he gets like and he gets frozen up, and while he gets frozen up, he laughs. And I feel like there's another one that I'm forgetting that we already have seen. But basically, like, that is a little thing that always appears. Like, when a character with a D dies, then they're smiling, which is...
Yeah, that's weird.
They have, like... It's just like the devil fruits, honestly. Like, this D thing, like the lineage of the D, or like this name of the D, is still shrouded in mystery at this point in the story.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of like little tidbits that I honestly don't know if it's like meaningful in a big, like, you know, to the story, but it's just always a nice thing to notice those little things, you know.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Man, yeah, I can't believe we stopped there. So what is it, 3 episodes next time? I think you said not to look ahead on the chart.
Oh, yeah, no, you can look at it. I mean, you could have also looked at it last time. It was just that, well, we don't have to talk a lot about it, but I put in Sengoku's Devil Fruit power in there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it was not revealed before last episode, so I didn't want you to like accidentally look at it.
Gotcha. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Florian. It was very good to have somebody to go back and forth with on these sad episodes. And thank you, Jessica, for joining us as well. And I hope everybody listening is enjoying the coverage also. Appreciate you all out there. And until next time, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.